Hi there, lovers. Today's video is a change of pace. I think a change of focus, I would say. It's been a very unique month for me, a very fast-paced, interesting, and cool month. And whenever that happens, my YouTube channel suffers. I've come to not beat myself up about that. I think that there is a give and a take when it comes to YouTube. There's times when I'm free and I have no projects on the go, so I can throw myself completely into the creative process of making videos just for fun and making really challenging and cool videos. And then there's times when I'm managing several projects and it becomes very difficult to really do YouTube in the best way possible. And when those times come, I ask for your guys' patience and your love and understanding, but then also I have to find an alternate way to connect with you because it is important for me to connect with you. So today I just want to talk about what I'm doing wrong. That's basically it. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos. I think for the past few months, it's really centered around you, what you're doing or what you should think, or celebrities. It's been a lot of like outward discussion of the other. And I think today would be a great opportunity just to really focus on self. And some of the things that I have learned the not so great way, some of the things I'm still learning, what I'm struggling with as of late, and just keeping an open dialogue with you guys because this is a relationship. So sometimes it's about you. Today it's about me. If that doesn't excite you, I'm sorry. Come back for the next video. Okay, so I was trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to say today and I couldn't really quite put it into words. So I made a list. Quickly, here are the things we're gonna go over in this video. Number one, educating versus insulting. Raise your hand if you have been insulted by me by watching my videos. Yes, I have definitely not done an incredible job of educating you guys in a way that makes you feel more inspired, more creative, more emotionally intelligent, but instead educating you in a way that feels like I'm directly insulting your way of life or your thought process, which is not what my goal is, and this is something that I'm trying to overcome, and I will discuss this in greater detail. Respecting the pendulum, this is a big one for me. If you guys are familiar with these series of videos that I do where I just sit down and really like cry about what's not going right in my life, I do this a lot. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think that if I can take these moments for self-reflection and growth, great, but doing a self-pity act, not great. And I've definitely been a convict. What's the word I'm looking for? I've definitely been a criminal. I've definitely been the person guilty. I've been guilty. I've been guilty of doing that several times. Like, things will not be going great for 2 months, or I'll go through some kind of struggle, and then I will create this larger storyline around it, how the universe is out to get me and nothing is fair. And then 2 months later, things pick up and the cycle repeats. So now that I'm coming on the upswing of a pendulum, because the summertime was a downswing of my pendulum, and again, I went through the same series of thoughts of self-doubt, and now that I'm coming up from it, I'm like, oh, maybe you should stop tripping out about that because it's not healthy for you. Then I want to talk about being a perfectionist versus a delusionist. I don't know if that's even the right way of saying it, but I'm an overly critical person. I'm overly self-critical, and I used to tell myself that it was a positive trait, that it's great for me because it makes me like more on top of my game and stronger, and I'm never satisfied. But then of late, I've kind of noticed that it actually does the opposite. It makes me less likely to perform at my best because I'm always scrutinizing myself. Like, I'm essentially like a heckler in my own brain. And that's something I'm trying to manage right now. Balancing expectations versus realities is just really about, yes, you should advocate for what you want. And yes, you have the right to your standards and you have the right to be treated how you want to be treated, and your goals are important and your needs are important, but you also have to be very mindful of where you're going to have these things met. And I'm saying this more in an altruistic way than I am in a relationship way, but for example, on a loose example, going to McDonald's and expecting a grade A quality meal. Not to say that anyone in my life is McDonald's, but there are individuals who I think I've placed a lot of pressure on to have an output that's really not, it's not what they ever promised anybody. So I think for me, as I've become more aware of my needs, just being also very mindful of other people's limits and finding happiness with both of those things. Freeing myself of the responsibility to be the best. That's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm a competitive individual, so I think oftentimes whenever I'm around people whom I deem for some whatever reason are better or on the same trajectory or on the same playing field, I tend to get competitive. And of late, I've just been like relinquishing to second place happily and feeling better about that. Like being okay with not being the smartest, being okay with not being the most accomplished, being okay with not being the most popular, but still being happy to be in a space with people whom I do admire, do think great things of, and not looking at them like, oh, they're greater than me and feeling a sense of inferiority, but feeling a sense of grace because I'm like, wow, I get to be around somebody who I think is really spectacular. What can I learn from this experience? And acknowledging their greatness without letting it dim my own. So that's what we're going to talk about, although I just talked about all those things. So if you just wanted the short version of the video, you got it. I'll see you guys next time. Take care. But everybody else, let's go into detail about insulting you. The very difficult thing with YouTube, obviously, is that it is a one-way conversation that mimics a two-way conversation. So I'm looking at you in the eyes right now. I am not touching you, but you know what I mean? We are like connected. However, I don't know who you are. I don't know your experience. I don't know what you've been through. I don't know your desires. I don't know why you're even here right now. I have no idea why you're here or what you're doing. However, I do know that we're all here because we have a shared passion for intimacy. We all want to live our optimal intimate life, whether that be sexually or romantically or hell, even individually. So with that in mind, I have to ensure that every time I open my mouth, especially when it's to communicate an atypical idea, that I'm being respectful of your goals for being here. And I think anybody who exists in a field when they're like nose deep in it, whether that be nutrition, whether that be obviously sexology or medicine, you have to really tread the line between being helpful and being insulting. And I think I have more than treaded that line sometimes. I've definitely moonwalked all over it. I just want to do a disclaimer, that's never my intention. My goal for this channel is to give you guys tools to have a better, more fulfilling, intimate life. That you're able to get the things that make you feel good so that in turn you can give other people the things that make them feel good. And that's just the general gist of things. There are some hacks in between there. There are some things I think you should know psychologically that are working against you, biologically that are working against you, that if you have knowledge of, I think you can actually work in your favor. And that's all about building emotional intelligence and building awareness. But all that being said, sometimes the ways that I think you could go about building emotional awareness or emotional intelligence don't fit with what you've gone through your experience, or don't fit with what your goals or ideals are of intimacy. And so even if I have a perspective that doesn't fall in line with yours, it should never feel like I'm crossing a boundary, that I'm reaching across the screen and kicking you right in the soul, that I'm like digging my heel into your value system. And if you've ever felt that way, please do comment below and let me know where, when, and how I could have handled that better, because I have a very keen interest in ensuring that I don't do that. But also know that I'm working on it. I'm definitely trying to figure out a way to bring ideas to you that don't fall in line with what we hear all the time. And because they are new ideas and sometimes they don't fall in line with the standard moral system, I have to be more sensitive and more thorough when discussing them. And open. I'm always open to hearing things from you guys. I want to let you know, I do hope that although sometimes things don't feel welcome, later on they can register and be a great epiphany. For example, for me, I did a video talking about fidelity, like very briefly on the Insecure video. I spoke about fidelity and how I don't think that having fidelity be the axis in which your idea of love spins on is the smartest idea, because statistically, fidelity isn't the strongest pillar, and nor do I think it really should be an indicator of how much someone loves you based on how much they're able to resist temptation for the rest of their life. So anyways, I was explaining that, and I was talking about having hard boundaries, and when statistically most people have an experience with cheating or being cheated on or have some type of association with it, to make that be the deal breaker for relationships when we all know it happens very frequently, I don't agree with per se, because I think that it's not necessarily a bad person thing, it's a people thing. It's a trait that many of us carry that we have hard times dealing with, and that there's probably a more loving way to approach it versus you're a bad apple, you're a bad person, get out of my life, we're broken up. Nonetheless, I was talking about it not being a hard boundary of like, if you cross this line, that's it, it's over. And someone in the comment section pointed out, they were like, don't you have videos talking about with your partner how, because I'm in an open relationship and high communication and trust, honesty is so high, such a high value for me that if, even though I've given my partner every opportunity to be honest, they still went behind my back, I would leave him, Jared, I would leave Jared without a second thought. And I would say that in videos. And someone points out in the comment section of like, well, how are you going to assess or judge the boundaries that we place in our relationship when you have boundaries in your own? And I thought about it and I was like, you are right. So we were sitting outside with Jared one day and I just turned to him, I was like, you know how I've said things to you, like if I find out that you are seeing somebody else behind my back, it's over between us. I'm like, that's not true. And he was like, yeah, I know. And I was like, well, how do you know? He's like, I realize that's something that you're saying to scare me. He's like, but you don't have to do that. You can just say it would hurt you. And I listen to that just the same. So when you say those hard boundaries, like I would leave you, this is it. He's like, I just know that what you're really trying to say is it would hurt you. And so yeah, that's not something I want to continue doing anymore. I don't think that it doesn't give people an environment to feel comfortable fessing up to their mistakes. Because what if Jared went out and had an experience with somebody and one, forgot, two, was intoxicated, so it was kind of foggy, or three, just didn't feel comfortable for whatever reason coming to me, and then let some time pass and then I found out, and because they have heard me say, if I find out and you didn't tell me right away, it's over, he's not gonna feel comfortable telling me after the fact. So I have to also acknowledge the fact that setting up those hard boundaries also places me further away from my goal, which is having an open, communicative relationship that isn't based on fear. So thank you for that lesson. That, I guess, is some ways that you guys have done that for me. You have educated me without insulting me, and I have to take a page from your book and learn how to do the same for you, because I'm keenly interested in you just living your best intimate life. And I am fully aware that that has nothing to do with what I think is the best intimate life, that we all have our own individual recipes. I do think there are certain norms that most people, because we are still Homo sapiens, that most people probably can relate to. And so when we understand people, just same thing with health. When we understand a general rule of health and how bodies function, we can find our truth within there. That isn't to say though that we ignore every human norm in saying that, oh well, I'm a different person. Yes, you're different, but here's what heart health looks like. Take that broad information and apply it to yourself as need be. But I still have to find a way to make that information comfortable for you and inspiring to you, not insulting. So if anybody out there relates to what I'm saying right now, know that I'm working on it, and I appreciate your feedback always in that way, because communicating with you is my highest priority, or else I would not be on YouTube. That'd be crazy. Respecting the pendulum. I think I already talked about this, but more or less, if you guys have watched my The Struggle is Real series videos, a lot of times I go through these downswings in my life, and Jared was saying that the key to success, from what he was reading with his book, is a word called stoic. And stoic is a mood that's pretty even keel, which means you don't ride your highs too highs or your lows too low. So when you have the littlest thing, you don't like go out and call all your exes and be like, I made it, you so dumb up. You don't do all that. But when you're going down, doesn't mean that you like call all your exes and be like, take me back, I've got nothing. There's somewhere in between there where you're like, okay, life isn't perfect, or okay, life is incredible. How do I take this in stride? I have the don't ride your highs too high part down packed. I do not ride my highs that high. I'm always somebody who's expecting things to go bad. Not expecting is the wrong word, but I'm always well aware that nothing is forever, and especially in the industry that I'm in, there very rarely is a sense of permanence. For those of you guys who don't know, oh my God, speaking of not riding your highs too high, I am hosting a show on Facebook right now, which I hope explains why I've not been the best YouTuber, but it's a weekly live show. It's Facebook.com/makeupbreakupshow. I don't want to talk about it, just go there right now and watch it. Facebook is launching their own original content like Netflix, like full screen, and of course like YouTube Red. And so this is their first live show that they're doing, and I'm hosting it. By far the biggest opportunity I've ever had in my life. By far the coolest thing that I'll probably get to do all year. Just a really, I don't know, I love my full screen show too though. It's just been a really, really cool and humbling and awesome opportunity, but I take it in stride because it's 6 episodes that we're doing, so just take it as an experience. If I get to do more, great. If I don't, that's okay too. And I recognize the fact that I could get fired next week. That's how this industry goes, but while I'm experiencing it, I'm grateful, but I also can't start throwing FU parties for all of my enemies and all my haters because I'm just not there yet. But not riding your lows too low. I had a slow summer. And I had a summer of tears because I had a lot of setbacks and disappointments. And so there was whatever it was that I was looking forward to or I was waiting for an answer to in the summer, the answer consistently came back no. So if I had a pilot that was out, the answer came back no. I had pitched a book, the answer came back no. I was up for Emmy consideration for full screen show, Your Perfect Date, for one of their web categories, and I didn't get nominated. So it was just one after the other of these major blows to my growth, to this Shannon, not this Shannon. It was those are all experiences, opportunities, or goals that I don't think would be completely reasonable for me to ask for right now. They were all kind of shooting for the stars a bit. And it was just the world's way of being no, you're still here. Don't get too high, you're still here. And I just felt really beat down by the end of the summer. And thank you to my partner for being encouraging and for encouraging me to be stoic and accepting the pendulum. And then sure enough, by the end of August, when I thought all was lost, I have nothing to look forward to, what's the point of my career, what's next for me, the Facebook show comes along. And then I'm shut up, Shannon. Honestly, shut up. Take those times when you're not killing it and you're not having tons of opportunities or massive projects on your plate to really be creative and give back to this space. And I hope you guys again see the ebb and flow that happens with that on this channel. There's gonna be times where I'm making really cool content consistently, that I'm on top of the ball, that I'm listening to your needs, and that we're in tune because you're my sole focus. But in order for those times to happen, I gotta make money other times. So there has to be times when this YouTube channel is dark, it's confusing, you feel where is this girl? But more than likely I'm on another platform, so come find me there. Nonetheless though, we're gonna have to go through that ride together, and as long as we're able to do that and understand each other's needs, and I know the same thing for you guys. I have some of my favorite subscribers who are I've been in school getting it, so I haven't watched your videos in 6 months, but I'm catching up now. That's okay, I respect your right to have your own life and need your space, and I hope that you guys honor that in me. But do know that my priority is to come back here on YouTube to create better content, more meaningful content, and to build the audience and build the community that I cherish so much. And I hope you feel the same about it. Perfectionist versus delusionist. So y'all probably noticed this, or some people have noticed this about me, that I'm really self-critical, that I'm always I'm never really totally happy with myself or my circumstances. I'm always that could be better, that could be this. I never do anything and think, I killed it. I've probably literally never said that before. I'm always this and that and the third. And I used to think of this, I watched Can't Stop, Won't Stop, the P. Diddy story. And I'm like P. Diddy. And then I was that's not a good thing to say out loud. Should I be proud of that? Because I also think that when you really miss out on the beauty of the opportunities, and it's not as fun. While yes, maybe you get a slightly better result, perhaps, it's just not as fun. And one of the things that I super nitpick on myself about is my speech. I always think I'm stuttering. I always think that I'm talking too fast, that I'm not clear, I'm not pronouncing the ends of my words. And today, for example, I was on this live show, and afterwards I was oh my God, Shannon, do you have marbles in your mouth? What is wrong with you? Should we start doing exercises before? That was awful. And no word of a lie, I just watched it while I was in the bathroom. I was girl, I didn't see one mistake. What is going on in your head that you always like think the worst? You always think you're doing bad. You always think that you're not representing yourself in the best light, when really even that thought process is distracting me from the moment and being great. I just stuttered just now. Move on, Shannon, move on. So I think I'm trying to find that balance now where it's like, and I used to be way worse. So I'm definitely getting better over time, because I used to leave a lot of things crying. Like a lot of dream come true, things that I wanted my whole entire life. I would have an opportunity and I would go and do it, and I would leave there in tears because I don't feel like I captured the opportunity, or I feel like I did something wrong. And I don't do that anymore. I've gotten better at being like, okay, this could have been better. You know, you kind of dropped the ball here. However, it wasn't that bad. But I want to really accelerate that, because I think that this thing I'm holding on to of being overly self-critical, I used to revere as like, well, it has benefits. I don't really see them anymore. I think at this point I have to just trust the work that I've put in and trust that I'm good enough, and the rest will just happen. Don't get me wrong, while I'm preparing, I can be hard on myself, or I can go extra hard studying, but once I'm in the moment, that part of my brain has to turn off. And if anyone out there can relate, it's a wake-up call for you too. It's not an amazing quality. It's a good quality maybe again in preparation, but in execution, you have to be your biggest cheerleader, not the greatest critic. All right. Free yourself the responsibility of having to be the best. That's pretty much it. I think long story short, just becoming comfortable with not being the be all and end all. Just becoming comfortable with there being better people for the job. And there are some opportunities that I get that I am overly qualified. Hey, baby. I couldn't hear you at all.
Yeah, I'm sure they're heard me. There are gonna be a bunch of comments like, who's that black dude rapping in the hat?
I was just talking about this, mind you.
What?
That there's moments in life where you have to stop being your worst critic.
Yeah.
Like, you have to, when you're executing, you gotta be your cheerleader.
Yeah.
When you're preparing, you can be a critic while you're writing.
But when you're actually in the moment, it's not.
You gotta be like, I'm the best, I'm the greatest, this is good enough. I was saying, because I watched my interview back this morning, and I was so certain that I stuttered all over that thing and made a fool of myself.
That's how the Facebook show was too. You feel like you did like shit, and I'm like, nah, trust me.
Last but not least, there's like one cool thing happening I want to tell you guys about. I am selling, oh, can you grab me the other brown hat, please?
Look at the camera. Your top is cut off. Right?
Yeah?
Just like a piece.
I am selling these hats. I'm calling them vulva hats. It's probably not the best name for them, but the idea came to me a while ago. I just wanted to do shades of vulvas, the different shades that they come in. So I'm only doing these ones to start, which is like a chestnut brown and then like a muted, almost like pale pink. And they're only gonna be sold in Toronto. So I'm gonna be in Toronto next week for Buffer Festival, which is September 29th through October the 3rd. And I'm gonna be selling these in person only. So you have to reserve yours and come and pick it up from me. So if you live in Toronto and you are interested in buying one, I'm gonna do this to start. If it goes really well, of course I wanna support and show love to the rest of the world. But if you are from Toronto and you are interested, yeah, just stay tuned to my Instagram page. I'll have more information coming. And please, if you guys haven't, go watch the Facebook show. It's free. I know with like full screen, I exhausted my asks for you. I begged you to watch that, which is an amazing show, so do go watch that if you haven't. But this Facebook show is free, and second to that, it needs you. Like, it literally is all about audience interaction, and a lot of the people in the comment section aren't as emotionally intelligent as you. So I'm like, I miss my people. And I know I've seen Tanisha in the comment section, a couple of other, I think I saw Sasha down there as well too. So I've seen some of my YouTube people over there, but I want to see more of you guys. So go to facebook.com/makeupbreakupshow and be there on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, so that you can tweet live and you can message live, and then I can read your comments on air, and you guys can be part of the discussion and take what we have, you know, learned and disseminated here as a community out into the greater world. That's all. What's up? Nothing? All right. That's that's it, lovers. This video has been a video of all videos. Please, again, give me some time and patience as I go through this period of time of giving attention to the money things so I can come back to the creative things. But I definitely will come back. I'm gonna check in with you guys constantly, and I always appreciate your time. So much love to you, and I'll see y'all next video. Bye. You're not going for a stop, Jared?
I get it, girl. Oh yeah, I get it, girl. Yeah, I get it, girl. Oh. And if you don't know, get it, girl. Oh. Yeah, I get it, girl.